Hello, people. Happy Friday, Veterans Day, etc. I'm trying to get situated in this space so people can see my face and then be able to see the face of my buddies who are joining us. Let's see. Isn't this fun? Annie's coming in. Lappy. And we're going to have Doug and Heather here again as well. Hello.
Hello. Hang on, let me get situated.
No worries.
Okay.
We're just like, we're live.
Well, I don't want people watching to be blared out by my light bulb. So.
Oh yeah, I had the funny sun coming in this way, so waiting to see where Heather and Doug are, but they both said they're ready, so we're hanging in there. So, oh wait, oh there we go. There's Doug. Okay, excellent.
Trying to not get glare. Sorry.
That's okay. Doug is here. There he is.
Hello.
Hello. And happy Veterans Day to one and all.
Happy Day.
And especially to Annie. Thank you for your service.
Well, it's been an honor.
And you still serve, but you serve as a civilian.
I do, yes.
You teach soldiers the art of deception.
I do, and it's very fun.
I bet it's fun.
No, Can I just take it? Can I just take it for the hell of it? Because I would love to learn.
Right?
My deception game needs some new skills.
I keep going.
I'll sign a waiver. I'll go blindfolded. I just want to be. I want to be more mean and a little bit more vindictive to some extent.
All you have to do is know the enemy decision maker. That's all you have to figure out. So
that's so hard to figure out sometimes. So
no, it's nice that after 30 years of, because Jenny and I both enlisted in 1992. It's crazy that it was that long ago, but I still get to hang out with really cool people that make a huge sacrifice every day. So I'm a pretty lucky gal.
And I love that you're in the classroom. Like, I think that's my favorite part of it all. I don't know. It just makes me giggle to, oh, wait, what is Heather doing? It makes me giggle to think that, as Charles would put, are your hacky sack, granola eating, poetry writing little sister is this like kick-ass lieutenant colonel deception person. And I don't know what is happening with Heather. I know she's coming, but I don't see her. She tried to give me a live call, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. And I don't know if I can. If I leave this, I'm afraid to text her. Maybe I will try to text her from. Oh, there she is. Now I'm waiting for this little thing to come in. This has just become kind of complicated. You got to touch the accept button very gently so that. Hello! The gang is all here.
Hey! It kept showing that you weren't online, so I was like, what's going on? So,
and I saw you were trying to call me. So
I accidentally hit that by accident. I was like, oh, I don't want to touch that. Oh my God, I touched that. So I'm wearing my Apocalypse Meow shirt. So I think that was
that is great.
Appropriate.
That is great. I can't. Annie's wearing a 21 Pilots t-shirt. It's very nice.
Yes.
I can't see what Doug is wearing because
I'm just wearing a good old mock turtleneck. It's nothing fancy.
The sloth is my spirit animal.
Ooh.
T-shirt, my ASEA t-shirt. Okay, so hello, and again, happy Veterans Day, and to all of our veterans out there, thank you for your service. We wanted to today do a special top 5 podcast livecast and talk a little bit about our favorite either military / Veterans Day / veterans related films. And I think we have a little bit more time today, but we'll try to roll through here and share with you. We'll probably each do at least 2 films and then give our full list at the end. And so I'm going to go first today since Annie's kind of the guest of honor. So we'll let her go last each round. So I'm going to start with I'm going to share that one of my movies on my list is Forrest Gump, which I was thinking about this, and it's because you don't really think about this being a military film, but when I think about who Lieutenant Dan was in the movie and what Lieutenant Dan represented, and and consequently who Gary Sinise has become in the face of actors that really support the military. I thought this is a perfect film to talk about today a little bit because we do experience in the film Forrest Gump's time in Vietnam and his return home, and then his relationship with Lieutenant Dan and the way that that grows, and and just I don't know. It's a very special relationship between those two men, kind of friendship you don't often see portrayed in the film. So yeah. So Forrest Gump is on my list from 1994.
Okay, good choice.
Doug, how about you go next?
I wanted to use that one, but I didn't because it's on my workers that I watch over and over again. But I met Gary Sinise when I was in Iraq, and he is just as amazing as you would think him to be. So yeah.
Wow.
That's so cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is good to hear, actually.
That was
That's
on
good to
your
hear.
Circus that we will watch again. And he's big on the no repeat, so I try to honor that as much as I can.
So,
Okay.
so Chris, you just said randomly that was on your list. So that's not necessarily top first, top five, like 5, 3. We don't know what number it is.
It is in at number 5.
Oh, it's number 5. Okay. So
Yeah.
we are doing it in order then.
Well, I think people can share whatever they want to share. They don't have to share their full. We don't have to do it like we would normally do it on the show, back and forth. I just want to make sure, for time's sake, that everybody has time to fully contribute and whatnot. Because I know a couple people had to bug out later. So if we can roll with all 5 from all 4 of us, then we can. But if not, then just share a couple, and then we'll each give our full list at the end.
Okay, sounds good. I like to know what the rules are before we play the game.
The rules are. All right.
All right.
You're up next.
I'm up next. I'm going to go with my number 3 is American Sniper with Bradley Cooper. American Sniper. It was a great book, great film, great performance, warts and all of all the service and all the things, although there were a few inconsistencies with some special effects and other things, but probably one of the grittier and more harder films to watch, especially some of the things that he experienced over in Iraq with particular groups and whatnot. You saw the warts and all aspects, the family aspects, the impact. You know how it ends if you follow the original story, and yet when it ends, it still hits you in the gut. And Cooper was nothing short of amazing. Sienna Miller was nothing short of amazing. Clint Eastwood hit it out of the park with it. They made $1 billion almost, and I can see why. It is a hoorah Republican feel-good movie, but it really captured, I think, the essence of the character, the story, the war, and the aspects of certain things. So that would be probably my number 3.
Excellent. Oh, I love me some Bradley Cooper. This is a movie I have not seen yet, but
it's a hard one.
Need to make that happen.
Have a box of tissues ready.
Okay.
Yep.
No problem. Heather, what do you got?
All right. Well, I'm eager to jump to my number 1 before somebody else claims it, but
Okay.
I will refrain from that, and I'm just going to go along with your Forrest Gump because there's another one about veterans that I really like, which is Born on the 4th of July. So that is one of my favorite movies, and actually, it's the movie that made me respect Tom Cruise because up until that point, I wasn't, to me, it was like risky business or whatever, but I was like, damn, this guy can act. So it's Oliver Stone, right? Oliver Stone directed that movie.
Yes.
And a lot of great performances in it. And, it just shows you the harshness of war. And, Chris and I were the same age. I'm thinking you guys are around the same age where my dad was older, so he didn't go to Vietnam, but I had friends whose parents or dads went off to Vietnam, and, their dads were messed up and all that, but it was something we never talked about. And I don't know, in school, we never really talked about the Vietnam War. So seeing movies like that, it's really, impactful and makes you respect all the people that had to go over there and fight that war. So Born on the 4th of July.
That's a good one. That's a
great choice.
That's find a place on the list. I'm not telling you where. All right, Annie, you're up.
So this is actually kind of an anti-war movie, but it's still, to me, it kind of celebrates a little bit of the essence of serving. But I'm going to go with 64, The Americanization of Emily. movie is actually why my daughter is named Emily, if of all things, because it's Julie Andrews, who doesn't love Julie Andrews, but it's the story of James Garner, a self-professed coward, and essentially his boss, this admiral, is going nuts and decides that James Garner will be the first dead soldier on Omaha Beach, and this coward gets thrust into D-Day without really wanting to be there, but they. In essence, he's going to become the person that ends up in the tomb of the unknown soldier, but he ends up surviving the D-Day invasion. But it has to do, I don't know, just the story itself, between, facing up to, what you're actually afraid of and what you're willing to sacrifice, for, but also the love story of, two people that, you don't know if the person's going to come home or not. And come on, James Garner, who doesn't, he was so handsome. Sorry. But yeah,
that's
great.
Okay. Don't apologize.
Yep. So 1964, Americanization of Emily, one of my favorite military movies.
Okay.
That was one of our dad's favorites too, if I remember correctly. So I still have not seen it. So shame on me. I reckon. I know. My sister discovering something.
It's on beta tape.
I know, but so was In Harm's Way, and I didn't watch that until I got married. So, we had so many movies on the stupid Betamax at our house, and there were some that got watched more than others. Hashtag Jaws and Psycho. Oh my God.
For obvious reasons, of course. I mean,
I'll make it up to you, Annie, I promise.
Yeah, but Godfather like 30 times. I'm just saying.
I know.
Still not hearing a problem here. So not hearing
Oh my gosh.
It's not.
It is what it is. And I will make it up to you, youngest Lieutenant Colonel sister. Okay, I'm going to share what is number 4 on my list. And it might have even been a mini-series. I don't remember if it was a mini-series or a TV movie, but I'm going with Serving in Silence, the story of Margareta Cammermeyer, Glenn Close won an Emmy and I can't remember, was she a general? I don't remember if it was a general, but she was one of the first people to be removed from the military over coming out as lesbian. And so this movie is based on her book about her story of what it's like to be gay in the military. And I think I appreciate this film so much because I feel like it brought a really sensitive topic up to more mainstream understanding. And I can't tell emphatically, I wouldn't know this if it did change, if that story did change the ability that veterans or that men and women had to serve as gay and lesbian soldiers. But I loved the sensitivity with which this movie is told, and it's just a very different way of looking at life in service to our country. So yeah, I wanted to put something on there that was a little bit different and sort of tells, a more alternative, no pun intended, story about service. So, and I can't remember what year that came out. I didn't look it up. Yeah, it's a very, very good television film.
1995.
1995. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's see. Doug, you've got a new one. Next, up to you.
I'm going to give you my number 2, a movie that is broken into 2 pieces. Many people consider the first part. Oh, she guessed it already, didn't she?
This is my number 1.
Oh, is it? Well, would you like to say? You want to say it together? All right, ready? 3.
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Many people consider this to be the Platoon, and this came out a year apart. Mm-hmm. They will say that this is the better of the 2, although the other is nothing to shake a stick at. The other is a little bit more of a one person's personal journey, and there's a little bit of a mystery, murder, thriller, little piece of it mixed in there. This is just straight up meat to the grinder, gunnery, sergeant, infantry people getting ready for boot camp. And even though they trained in England, that's a whole nother story. 2 different movies merged into one, originated by Matthew Modine, and the second most terrifying person on earth that was ever chasing me or was mean or angry at me, I would just stop what I'm doing, crawl into a fetal position, and let him do whatever he wanted to me. Gunnery Sergeant Arlie Ermey, a real gunnery sergeant in real life, before taking on the role. the language that I should not have probably heard at 13 or 14 years old, and some of the other things, but just an eye-opening experience of what the generation was like. And I knew a bunch of different Marines over the years, and most of them are salty devil dogs that I think got their start on Paris Island. So that is my number 2, and I'm sorry for taking your number 1, Heather.
That's okay, but you didn't say "Love Me Long Time," so that was
I could. It's a very quotable war movie, which is not something you would usually find.
Yes.
Between Joker and Cowboy and Private Pile and everybody. There probably isn't a week that goes by I don't think of or use a quote that I can use in certain situations, because most of the gunnery sergeants you can never, ever use in real life.
Yeah.
I want to say that I'd read somewhere that R. Lee Ermey he's not a trained actor. He was only in soul.
No, so the authenticity of, imagine him doing that in the 60s and 70s to human beings.
Yeah.
And probably a lot worse, because that's some stuff right there. What's that?
The Boys in Company C.
I didn't see that one.
So that's also R. Lee Ermey, but it was in the 70s, and he basically but it was his first role. His 1970s. He served 11 years in the Marines, and then that was actually his first movie. And he's, same thing, gunnery sergeant, drill sergeant type of role. So yeah, and then 9 years later comes along Full Metal Jacket.
And he became quite the character actor over the years.
Oh, yeah.
And different things. So again, my number 2. It was a hard choice between that and Platoon, but I went with the other.
Yeah.
Platoon has the better cast. Full Metal, I think, has the better story.
He was also, I'm pretty sure, in the movie The Frighteners, so like he plays like
he's in a
kind of like a ghost version of the general or whatever. Yeah, and Vincent D'Onofrio's acting performance in that movie was just amazing. I mean, that alone is just like it was terrifying, and oh my god, like when he's like doing the gun thing, and
very terrifying.
Yeah,
that's a man who went crazy and was driven to kill by a bully, and it is terrifying every time I watch it. But it's still Kubrick, one of probably my favorite Kubrick film of them all to some extent.
For sure,
yeah.
Totally.
Definitely.
My cat, when he after he chews a lot of food, he makes this like gargly sound, and I call it full mouth racket. So I'm like, oh, he's got full mouth racket. Okay, well, Platoon was on my list as well, so I'll just jump to that one. So Platoon came out in the late 80s, so it was like Wall Street, I think, came out, and then maybe Platoon. I think that was
the other way around.
The other way around. Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay. So again, this is another, what's this guy's name? Blanking. Oliver Stone. Thank you. Oliver Stone. And again, we hadn't talked about Vietnam. So this came out when I was in college, and it was the first time I was like really exposed to the horrors of Vietnam, and it just like shook my world. Like I remember seeing that in the theater and just being in shock afterwards, like sitting there just like couldn't move. So great performances, and that I'm pretty sure that was the first time I'd ever seen Willem Dafoe in a movie. So that, and I want to say, like, wasn't there like Johnny Depp or somebody else was in there?
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Depp is in it. Yes.
Johnny Depp is in it. Yep. And Kevin Dillon is in it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Johnny Drama from
Vietnamese. Yeah. He's a translator. Yep.
There's a lot of great people. Tony Todd is in it. Candyman. There's, I think, Forrest Whitaker's in it, or somebody else. But it's a great. Yeah, there's a bunch of. You watch it again, you'll notice a bunch of different people mixed in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So excellent film.
I didn't even think of that.
Oh, I'm changing
it's like when Charlie Sheen was going down a really very interesting, good path of like, you could be a real actor someday, and I don't know what happened, but that's okay.
Tiger blood. All you got to say.
Yeah.
So it's funny, when I was in college, I was in the National Guard at the time, but I wrote a paper I compared and contrasted Born on the 4th of July with the movie Platoon. So, yeah, funny that you guys have those have already come up, and
Which great examples.
Yeah.
Was it an English class or a history class?
No, the name of the class was Peace and War.
Really?
I was the token like soldier in the room. It was kind of funny.
Man, I didn't have that class. I was a student, but I took U.S. in the 1960s as a history class at the U of A, and we watched in that class, we watched a ton of movies, but my favorite sequence was back to back. We watched Doctor Strangelove in class one week, and then the next week we watched Failsafe, which was a very interesting compare. And that was the paper that I wrote about comparing and contrasting those two movies, you know, looking at the potential nuclear holocaust. But anyway, okay, so Annie, you can share one now. Yes.
So this is not a movie, it's a series. I'm going to break the rules because this is the one time I'm allowed to break the rules. Band of Brothers. The 101st. So what's so great about this series is it takes you from, you know, their, you know, actually their, you know, entrance into service all the way through the end of the war. And kind of like Platoon, got all of these amazing, you know, characters, all these amazing character actors that just kind of show up. Of all people, like Donnie Wahlberg is amazing in this movie or in this series, but in between episodes, you have interviews of actual World War II veterans telling their story, and it's all based on, you know, these characters from their success to their failure to their, you know, their friends getting, you know, watching their friends die on the battle to the end of the war, and then the 101st being one of the first, you know, units that discovered one of the concentration camps and dealing with that. So what these young men went through in service and in defense of us and for everything that we stand for. And that's, you know, I love this series. And every time, like, we'll get within, like, for the first 15 minutes of watching it, my husband and I are already crying. So that's actually my number one, Band of Brothers.
Good choice. However, two pieces of trivia about that. James McAvoy, Tom Hardy, Michael Fassbender. Who else did I see in it? Because I try to watch at least an episode or two every Veterans Day. HBO does it all. Every time I watch it, I pick somebody else out of the young crowd. Hardy was the last one.
James McAvoy's got that bitty bit part. Scott Grimes and
David Schwimmer is such an ass in that. David Schwimmer is such an ass. Because I think Friends was still on at this time. If you like look at that show versus this guy Sobel, oh my God, Colonel Sobel, oh Jesus,
wow.
Awful.
Anybody that's a fan of The Walking Dead, you've got Michael Kuditz on The Walking Dead. You know, may he rest in peace.
You got Ron Livingston. You got Damian Lewis from Homeland. It's just a who's who of, and then written and produced by Tom Hanks to some extent. Yeah. But the trivia I'd like to say, and next time I'm driving by it. So one of the characters in one of the people in the show is named Wild Bill Garnier. Wild Bill lost his leg at the Battle of the Bulge. He and another South Philly guy got blown up in the Battle of the Bulge in a winter fort in the forest. All right. And you know Garnier because his brother gets killed right before they ship off to D-Day. He gets a revolver. He says, I'm going to kill me some. He was from my neighborhood, my area.
Wow.
And he's buried near where my father's buried. And they built a statue to him because he lost his leg at that particular moment. His granddaughter is one of our nursing students at my school. And they had a statue made at our Veterans Memorial. So next time I drive by, I'll send you all a photo of that. But Wild Bill, every time I drive by, I give him a little salute. Daughter had some great stories because she was with him. She traveled all through the Band of Brothers press tour, and he was a South Philly character, and I would have loved to have met him. He died probably 2 years before I met her, and I would have just worshipped the ground he walked on if I could meet him. A great and a nice old guy, but my number one, too, so kudos to you.
Love that.
Beautiful. What a great story. Thank you.
I'll show you I'll get you the photo the next time.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have time to go one more round? Everybody doing okay?
All right. 10 minutes.
Okay, so let's see. Another movie on my list is from 2008, and this is called Stop Loss. And I think I love this movie so much because of the collective talent of these sort of younger 2000s actors. You have Ryan Felipe, you have Channing Tatum, you have the delicious Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and these are all veterans that are home, like they're done with their service, but there's some kind of clause that requires that you go back for a second tour. And so this movie covers this group of fellows that have now come home, but a couple of them are being called back, and it's the conversation discussion on, are we really going to go back and do this again, or are we going to try to go run and hide in Canada, whatever. And so just another different look, but a couple of the characters, and I don't remember if it's Channing Tatum or Joseph Gordon-Levitt, but they're home and they're just really, they're not well. So the importance of providing services and, helping folks that have had a really tough time when they're deployed, so that they can come home and live a regular life and get their life back after having seen and experienced, a bunch of heavy traumatic things. I only saw this movie once. I saw it in the movie theater, but I remember just thinking like, A, I'm really glad that someone made a film about this, and B, the folks that they cast, it was a happy group of these guys that all have really amazing talents in their own way. I respect all of them as actors. So yeah, so that's a movie that I kind of forgot about until I started thinking about this. But
What's the name again? Tell me the name again.
Stop Loss. STOP-LOSS. It's from 2008.
Never heard of it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
when that you had, that's when we had these 12-month rotations going through Iraq and Afghanistan simultaneously, right? And you had guys on a plane coming home at a 12-month mark, and they said, no, dudes, get off the plane. You got to stay for 15 months. So stop loss affected people at home, but
wow.
ended for 3 more months and when your mind is set that you're coming home. Can you imagine how miserable those 3 extra months were?
I can't imagine that.
But I those people.
Yeah, I can't fathom that at all.
No, can't even.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Scary. Yeah. So that was my number 2 is Stop Loss.
Okay.
So Doug, give us another one from your list.
I'm going to go with my number 5 because I changed it a minute ago, but I was trying to focus only on the military services and not the memorial part of veterans. Sure. It's a celebration, but I think this film itself is a celebration of service and commitment to country and everything else. It's called Taking Chance with Kevin Bacon. It's from 2010.
Yes.
2011. It's a 90-minute HBO film, and I literally watch it every single Veterans Day or Memorial Day. I find it when it's on HBO, and I'm recording it right now, I think, and I will watch it later tonight because the story every single year is a touching tribute of one man saluting another and escorting him home for his final trip. And it really happens 1,000 times a day. And I would definitely contribute if I saw someone like Kevin Bacon doing this. He'd get my seat. He'd get to go in front of me in the airport X-ray line, whatever it might be, to make sure that he's able to do whatever he can do to give the family and the soldier his final contribution. So Taking Chance is my number 5. It should be a little higher on my list, but it's definitely a repeat viewing every single year.
I thought Kevin Bacon was going to get the Emmy for that. I think he got the Golden Globe, but I echo all of your sentiments, and it is one of the films on my list. It is hands down probably Kevin Bacon's best performance.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to see it. I've never seen that.
I haven't either.
It's bring your tissues.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a whole different Kevin Bacon.
That's a theme here.
Yeah.
Your tissues.
All right, Heather, you got one more. What's up?
All right. Well, I've got things like Saving Private Ryan, Deer Hunter on my list, but I'm going to go a different route and put the military into outer space and say Aliens. That is one of my favorites.
Yes.
God bless the Colonial Marine Corps. God bless.
Why keep the Marine in charge?
Yes, so I'm a huge fan of Aliens. That was the first alien movie I saw was Aliens, and so like seeing the badass woman with the guns, and the this and that, and the love of the military people in there, like they get eaten together or whatever. So I absolutely love that movie, and they're very badass in that movie. And the other people in space, Stargate. That was my other one on my list. So I was kind of like tying, but but Aliens won out. So
nice.
Should have out. You got Bill Paxton, like my favorite role ever. But yeah, he was that is my favorite Marine Corps movie.
Is it really?
Yes.
Well, you might want to hold that till I release my full list, but it was on my list and then I took it off because I was going for the more traditional ones. But Aliens, the Colonial Marine Corps. When I used to drink in my youth, my drinking skill was naming all the Marines, and I could literally go through them all. Hudson, Drake, Vasquez, the whole 9 yards. So
thing with
and a woman. Yep, and Bishop and Newt and Ryan and everyone.
And
but
we think we're getting our asses kicked. That was like
game over, man. Game over.
it's so hard to buy him in that role, and then for him to turn around and be who he is in Frailty. That freaks me out just a little bit.
Or who he is in Tombstone, for that matter. So yeah, oh, I love him so much. He's the best.
From
Yeah.
Weird Science,
or in
for
Weird
God's
Science.
sakes.
Yeah.
It's Chet. It's Chet. I
Andy,
didn't think. I can't say what he says when the
one.
nuclear missile's in his kitchen, but I can't repeat what he says to tell you the prop. Oh God,
Man. Okay.
I miss Bill Paxton.
Oh, I do. My turn.
Your turn.
Okay. I'm gonna go. This is hard. You know, I'm gonna go. Yeah. Okay. My number 3. I'll make this my number 3. I'm gonna go with 1954, The Cane Mutiny. It's one of our like all-time favorites in this house, and we use it a lot when we teach like leadership and personal courage. And also, so Jose Ferrer, one of our favorite lines is, you know, I don't know how many of it you will take to kick my ass, type of thing. You know, have you seen the movie?
I have a year. Yeah, I haven't seen it recently, but
Okay.
I know the line you're talking about.
Yeah. So Humphrey Bogart's his last film role, and he was so amazing. Like when the part where he's like kind of doing his trial, giving his he's on the stand. What do you call that?
Testimony.
Yeah, testimony. I'm sorry, he's on the stand, and they did it in one shot because he was that good. He was just on. And so Jose Ferrer, I love him. He's amazing in it. But Fred McMurray, who I always picture as this, sweet guy, but he's a he is absolute.
Well, he did plot to kill 2 different people or crisscross. I mean, he attempted.
It's like when I think about it, all the movies that I've actually seen him in, he's like the worst evil, like most despicable person there is on the planet. Yeah.
But did you ever see what happened to the mom and my 3 sons? No. So maybe
Fair enough. Yeah.
Train of thought.
Absolutely.
Something to consider there.
I was kind of I didn't know if I wanted to keep it as like one of my favorite courtroom movies, because there's like, there's what happens on the boat, and then there's what happens in the trial. But when it comes down to it, Humphrey Bogart is just fantastic. And it comes down to, I think something that a lot of younger soldiers deal with nowadays is, at what point when you know that something's wrong, when do you say something? And it's hard to have that personal courage to come forward and say, this is wrong, and I'm going to do something about it. So that's one of the things that we love about it. And Keith and I both use this movie to teach like part of our lesson plan. So great film.
I thought about adding Casualties of War, although I haven't seen it in years for
Yeah.
that particular reason.
Yeah.
One man against his squad to some extent.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I have to rewatch it before I give it more consideration.
Is that the one with Sean Penn and Michael J. Fox?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough one to watch.
That is a tough one.
Brian De Palma movie.
Yep.
Were we talking about Brian De Palma the other day? We were.
Yeah, because I mentioned Blowout.
That's right. Well,
So
now Andy's talking about, courtroom films, and I'm thinking about other military courtroom dramas that aren't on my list that I'm wishing I should have put on my list, and we could probably do a whole episode on courtroom dramas.
Yeah.
So
but the Cane Mutiny now. That's off the table.
It's off the. Maybe
I did Primal Fear in my other one, so you got to take that off the thing too.
No
reason.
I called dibs on my cousin
That'd be my pick.
Well, the one I'm thinking about, I bet nobody on this call would get. I bet Charles would get it, but Annie might get it. I don't know. Okay, so let's wind up by just sharing our full list from worst to first, and an honorable mention as well if you have one. So my full list features honorable mention is Basic with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. I love this movie. It makes me giggle, but it's a serious movie with a strong female character. Number 5 is Forrest Gump from 1994. Number 4, Serving in Silence. Number 3, Taking Chance. Number 2, Stop Loss. And my number 1 was, sounding like other people's number ones, Born on the 4th of July.
Oh.
Okay.
my full list. So, Doug, let's roll out your full list.
All right, and I literally had to go to practice in 2 minutes, so we'll do a speed round. So my honorable mention, and I changed it, was Good Morning Vietnam for many reasons, but a war movie at its heart. My number 5 was Taking Chance. My number 4 was American Sniper. My number 3 is actually Heartbreak Ridge from 1986 with Clint Eastwood. My other favorite movie about Marines, and another movie my father should not have let me watch because of the language alone that was mixed in. But I love you, Dad. So number 2 was Full Metal Jacket, and number 1, Band of Brothers, because while it's a 10-hour movie and the book is good, the series, they really just did it justice. Honorable mention too, if anyone knows the guy Dale Dye, former military, he was a colonel who became a military advisor. He's in every military movie you could see, from Pearl Harbor to Platoon to everything else. If you see the guy with the oak clusters on his lapel, that's Dale Dye. So he does a lot of good training and everything else. So that's my top 5.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Heather, how does your big list look?
All right. So I'm going with Deer Hunter, Saving Private Ryan, Platoon, Born on the 4th of July, and Full Metal Jacket. And my honorable mention was Aliens.
Yes. Good list. All right, Annie, Lieutenant Colonel Pruitt.
This is hard. My honorable mention is Operation Mincemeat 2021, which is not about U.S. military, but it is about a deception that helped us win World War II. My number 5 was Rescue Dawn, about the real life with Christian Bale playing the
Steve Zahn. Yeah.
Forgot about
I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna do a combination for my number 4, Top Gun / Maverick. I love Maverick. That was so good. I saw it in the theater twice. The second time with you, my lovely sister.
Thank you.
And my top 3: K Mutiny, Americanization of Emily, and then Band of Brothers.
Nice.
Excellent.
Okay.
Well, fun, you guys. Another fantastic top 5 podcast live here on the gram. There will be more to come, my friends. Thanks for those that came and hung out with us. And Annie, especially, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Annie.
I have
and to your husband.
3 siblings, and all 3 of them served in the military, and I'm grateful to all of you and any other veterans that are out there that happen to be picking this up. We appreciate you so much, and hope that everybody has a fantastic weekend. Enjoy the downtime, the freedom that we have, and we all will see you on another live cast of the Top 5 podcast. So,
all right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.